what's going on, guys? I am here at the Armour manufacturing facility in Dallas, Texas. So this is the place that all the magic happens. This is where they design their bumpers, this is where they manufacture their bumpers, and this is really where they showcase how their bumpers are built. They have all sorts of machinery here used to form metal, bend metal, cut metal, and they have their welding stations on the other side over there. But this is the place where everything takes place. Now, the cool thing and the cool story about Armour is the fact that it is a 100% U.S. manufactured product. They source their steel from the U.S., they build their product here in the U.S., and everything is designed and manufactured in the United States, which is really nice, and I know that's important to a lot of people. So what I'm going to do now is give you a quick tour of the facility, and we're going to talk to one of the representatives here to kind of give you a better understanding of the different lines of bumpers they have and the niche that they're trying to fill. So when you see a smooth steel bumper like on this Super Duty right here, a lot of times that's what people associate with Armour because it's kind of their staple. It's kind of the bumper that you typically see. However, that's not the only bumper they produce, and it's not the only style they produce. So with me here, I have Brandon Varn. He is a vice president here at Armour, and we're standing in front of this new 2017 Plus Super Duty with a different style of bumper, and one that typically people don't see the Armour name on, because this is more of a ranch style bumper. And you guys produce several different lines. So what are we looking at here right now?
Right here you have our Vaquero line of products. This is actually a very high-end bumper. What I mean by that is it goes through multiple stages of production. We use a automatic robotic welder, for example. So all of our welds you'll see are very clean. They are not spotted. You'll never notice those things when it comes to the Vaquero line of bumper. There's actually, if you could get in here, a line that's beaded down. That is a little bit hard to see. And if you put a piece of paper in there, it actually wouldn't go through because you just can't see that weld. It's so nicely done. Another big thing about this bumper is it's smooth steel. A lot of competitors do use diamond plate, but this one actually comes in smooth steel. It has a Schedule 40 pipe. It's have 11 gauge steel in certain parts as well, like the mesh right here. For this one specifically, here's your adaptive cruise control module. What's really great about this bumper though is it goes through our 5-stage powder coating system. This really sets us apart from our competitors. What I mean by that is most companies go through a 3-stage, right? They get the bumper, they blast and clean it, they powder coat it, and then they bake it. We actually take it, we blast and clean it, we pre-bake it to get off all those oils from the blast and clean. We then get the entire bumper and we dip the whole thing into zinc and let it sit to galvanize the entire bumper. Once that's completed, we powder coat it and then we bake it again. When you galvanize it and you go through those extra steps, you're really preventing, as much as you can with the steel product, any kind of rust issues that might come about. I personally know that we've had very few issues here recently since we have switched over to the new powder coating system about 3-4 months ago.
Yep, and I want to address that. So a lot of folks that may have had a Armour in the past, or any bumper, it's been powder coated, they often will make the claim that rust starts to form under the powder coating. And that is something that you guys heard, and you said, well, we need to improve upon that, right? So a lot of my subscribers will say, I can't use a bumper like this up at the north because it'll start rusting out too quickly, or they knew someone that had a Armour bumper in the past, and they said, you know what, rust started forming on it. So you guys recently switched to zinc coating your bumpers and adding that step to help prevent rust, correct?
Yes, you're 100% correct. Our product is specifically made to be top of the line product, from the steel we purchase to who we hire to make it to the powder coating system that's put on it. You're not going to find anything like this product. Once again, even the steel is grade A tier 1 American made steel. We don't purchase from outside of the country. We only purchase from inside. And
what's really interesting is the fact that if you look at the styles of bumpers that Armour produces, they kind of set the bar. Everybody else started producing smooth steel and started copying this design because of what Armour did, because of the techniques that Armour uses, because of how their manufacturing, welding, and assembly process all comes together. They've kind of set the bar that all these other bumper manufacturers are now trying to reach. And you can see it. You can see it in the quality. When you do smooth steel, you leave very, very little room for imperfection because you'll see it. It's very noticeable. And that's one of the reasons I can really appreciate the quality and time that goes into building these bumpers. Yeah. Brandon, let's move on and let's take a look at some of your other bumpers.
Let's do it.
So this is going to be their Intimidator add-on. The add-on up here goes on top of this Titan 2 front end. And the best way to kind of imagine how this works is the Road Armor Stealth Series has this same basic front bumper. You select what you want up here. You can go with a bull bar, you can go with this massive 3-inch pipe that goes all around, or you can go with the Lone Star Series, which is what I have, which has the 3-inch pipe right here, but then it drops down to a smaller diameter pipe around the edge. If you want to get the Intimidator, which is this massive hunk of steel that they put above it, then you'd have to go with the Titan series simply because it clamps on to the 3-inch piping all the way around. But that is one huge setup, and I could easily see this truck being the post-Armageddon truck that you want to drive through a crowd of zombies, unless they grab onto the front, but you just go faster. Very cool bumper, huge. Not personally something I could see on my truck, but it is absolutely a beast of a bumper. All right, so now we are in front of engineering. Engineering essentially encompasses this whole back area here. We were talking about the engineering process at Road Armor, and it was kind of intriguing because they want to build a product, of course, people want to buy. But you can't just do that. You can't just say, I want to make it look a certain way, so build it, because sometimes that takes the engineering out of it. You have to also engineer a bumper so it can meet the demands that people are going to put it through, to have shackle mounts on it, to be able to withstand the impact of a moose in the road, or to be able to act in the way that it's designed to be acted, not just look pretty on a truck. So many companies produce products that are just designed to be cosmetic. Road Armor produces a product that's designed to be structural as well as cosmetic. So when we talk about things like that, where do you get your information and your creativity when building new bumpers?
That's a great question, JD. All of the information we try to gather comes from our customers. We go out and we survey them, we talk to them, and we find out, what is it that you want? And just like you were saying, JD, it's about having the shackles, it's about having that better powder coating, it's about having a style that matches who they are. That's what really we focus in on, and that's what drives the creation process for new bumpers.
Great. On to the next station. So what you're looking at here is the CNC laser cut pieces of steel that they've already pulled the different templates out. This is all going to go back to be recycled and turned into fresh sheets of steel. Some of their steel plating is right here. This is essentially where they're going to pull the material that goes into their cutting machine, which is right here. This is their CNC machine that's going to laser cut all the little components out. And this is their old tech. Their new tech is this really cool robotic one over here that essentially pulls the metal into it and does the cutting automatically. So this was kind of a manual process. You had to move the sheets of steel onto the surface so it could cut it. This one right here actually pulls the steel into it and does the cutting. So this turns out cut metal much, much quicker than this old machine over here, which is really cool, and it just shows that they invest in the technology they need to turn out a superior product. So how this machine works is you have all these cassettes. These cassettes each store a different thickness, different type of steel. This essentially goes up, grabs the cassette it needs with the steel it needs, brings it in, lowers it down, places it on this rack. It goes underneath here. All the cuts are made, comes back here, and you have literally a sheet with all of the pieces already cut out of it. All they have to do is to pull the pieces off and move on to the next station. So one thing Road Armor tries to do is they try to avoid multiple welds. One of the things that is important about forming one of these bumpers is to do it with as many bends as possible. That way when it gets to the welding station there aren't as many welds required. And as you can see here, bend. A lot of these are bends, so when it gets to the next station where it actually has to be assembled, it's minimal welding. And what that gives you is a much smoother looking product, a more structural product, and one that doesn't require as many welds. Just a much cleaner look overall. And down here you're going to see brackets. These are the brackets that actually attach it to the front bumper plate mounts on the trucks. This is where a lot of the parts are going to also come to be bent as well. You can see how they're forming the steel here, and it starts with a flat sheet of steel. This is all really thick material because in essence this is what's going to hold the area where the winch would be mounted. And on this side, you can see where they've essentially stacked up the different components before it gets over to the welding stations, which will be on the other part of the facility over there. Back here is a pipe bending machine. So this is where the pipe is actually going to go through and be bent to the form it needs to be bent for the different types of bumpers, whether it's going to be a ranch style bumper, whether it's going to be the Intimidator, whether it's going to be the Lone Star series like I have on my truck. You can see some more of the structure right here. You know, what's interesting about this specific type of product is that it's still very much manually done. Even though you have these machines that cut them, you have these machines that kind of make the process simpler, when it comes down to it, you're dealing with a very, very handcrafted material. You're dealing with a product that's designed, manufactured, and assembled essentially by people. Yes, they have machines that can cut these out, but the nice thing about that is it just really eliminates errors. It eliminates the chance that you're going to get a product that has, you know, measurements that are wrong. Basically, the more you can use a computer to design and cut these components, the higher the quality the end product's going to be for the consumer. And that's what really makes this product stand out. But you can't kid yourself. There's a lot of manual labor that goes into building and manufacturing these components. Shoot, just one piece of steel like this is going to weigh upwards of 100 pounds. So we are at the next station. This is a robotic welding arm. This is really cool because this is one of the tools that they use here to ensure that you get a product with really clean welds. This is going to be able to weld probably better than any master welder can, simply because it's designed to make incredibly smooth welds. So we have Harrison here with us today, and Harrison is going to demonstrate how this machine works on this piece of steel that they're going to weld together right here. Take it away. Okay, let's take a look at this. Well, I'm not a welder, but that is a really good looking line. But Harrison is a welder. Is that a clean line? I mean, could you do that cleanly if you were doing it by hand?
I mean, I can't do it consistently. That's the main thing about the robot, is it's all about consistency, the same weld every single time, and there's no mess ups or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of the goal. You want consistency. You don't want one bumper to go out that's slightly different than another bumper just because the skill of the welder might have been slightly different, right?
And absolutely. Another thing, perks of the robot is it's actually a lot faster. You know, a normal welder by hand, if they're really going at it, can only weld at 12 to 13 inches per minute. At some points, I have this thing running at anything close to 30 inches per minute, down to about 20, depends on the thickness of the metal.
And you're going to get a high quality weld every time out of it.
Absolutely.
Great. And this is nice because you're also not getting any air bubbles back there too, right? Isn't that a big piece? I don't know anything about welding, but I know you don't want air bubbles forming behind your weld, right?
No, air bubbles are no good at all.
All right, so I got Harrison back with me again, and we are standing in front of the Stealth series of bumper. This is not done on the robot. This is all done by hand, 100%. So, Harrison, can you kind of take me through and point out some of the key points of the Stealth series and how it's welded by hand?
Everything on the outside and everything on the inside is all welded by hand, and all of our pre-runner, our pipe, our Titan bumpers, they're all welded by hand too. But one of the perks is we have the press brake operators. They break everything, and it makes production a lot quicker, and because you don't have to weld every single thing, which also means that the grinders don't have to grind every single thing. And
every time you grind and you have to do that, you introduce the chance of a problem, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it makes it a lot more consistent, which consistency is big time in the bumper industry.
So coming down here, taking a look at this weld, you can see just how good of a job they do welding this. Very, very smooth, consistent welds. Everything is very clean. They do a really good job. Before I got into making these videos, I knew nothing about welding quality, but after I've been making them, after I've experienced how some of the other bumper manufacturers do their welds, this is, in my opinion, the very highest quality bumper welds you're going to get, especially considering these are kind of their biggest, beefiest bumpers they carry, and they're 100% welded by hand. So here is an example of a bumper that's back from powder coating. You have the raw steel bumper right there, and then you have the powder coated one here. And when you order these bumpers, you can actually order them raw like this. Some people may choose to put their own coating on it, and that's actually how we did it. Because we wanted the high gloss black center, we decided to order the one for my truck raw, and then it went off to get powder coated in high gloss black, and then everything else was kind of sanded down and painted ruby red. So that's kind of how the process works here. But this is a completed bumper that's just back from powder coating. It's a little dark back here in the shipping department. We're actually here on a weekend when they're closed, so they gave me kind of a VIP tour of the facility. But one of the things they take a lot of pride in is how they package their bumpers. And in my opinion, it is absolutely the best. For instance, when my bumpers arrived at CNS, they were packaged in a way that there's really no way to damage the bumper during shipment unless you just had a really, really bad forklift operator. Many bumpers are simply shrink wrapped and stuffed onto a pallet onto a vehicle, so you end up getting a lot of damaged bumpers when they arrive wherever they're going. But because of how they box their bumpers up here, this really mitigates the chance that you're going to have serious issues during transportation. And I really appreciated that with my bumpers. The last thing you want is to order a bumper, and some of you may already know this. It comes in, you drop your truck off, they give you a call later, and they say that they can't put it on because it was bent. So guys, that was a tour of the Road Armor facility here in Dallas, Texas. Harrison, really appreciate your time. Love your F-150, man. This is a true cowboy right here. He's driving old school, man. You know what, though? A lot of people are going to love your truck. People love these styles of trucks, man, and it's basically a lost breed, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I just wish he got more MPGs. He only gets 10 right now.
Hey, that's the price you got to pay to play if you want to drive one of these classics, man.
Yeah, pretty much. Of course, it takes, $80 to fill it up. Got the dual tanks.
Oh yeah. Man, this thing is in great condition, though.
It's only got 100,000 miles on it.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Now, you look like you take care of it, my friend.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You don't make an Intimidator for the front of it?
No, sadly not. I was trying to get one of our designers to start making bumpers for him. But
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful truck, man. I really appreciate your time. You do great work here. Thanks again, my friend.
awesome, I appreciate it.
All right. Anyways, guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you again very soon.